Lecture number 20, E524 digital MOS LSI circuits. So we were talking about various static ratioed logic gate, for which we have studied something called pseudo NMOS technique, where you are keeping PMOS in saturation always, and you are implementing the power down network over here. And you are taking the output from here. This is VDD. Right? So we already studied that the problem here is actually the fighting between the power down transistors, which are made up of NMOS and this PMOS. So the technique is you have to keep this W by L as low as possible to achieve VOL tends to 0 volt, right? So it's on the base, and we also learned that if you are keeping L higher than W, you may get better results in terms of proper VTC like this, which is going till 0 volt. But as W by L is increasing from here to here, this characteristic gets distorted with the fact that VOL is not equal to 0, but it's going approximately equal to 0, but not 0 volt. You will have always some extra voltage, and this happening because of this PMOS. Note that this PMOS is in saturation mode of operation, whereas other ones are in linear. So you have to follow the equations accordingly, and you can find out the VOL value, which is already given in the book, and we also looked at that one. So this has problem that we are not getting the output rail to rail. So output is not rail to rail. However, we are interested in rail to rail output, which is digital logic 1 to digital logic 0. Logic. Right. So this is what we want, and this is the ideal situation, but this is not happening in pseudo NMOS technique. This is not working, right? So what you need to do, as I told you, like we have two things which can be incorporate so that we can have following things, and for that we told that we can use the differential logic. Differential is the one where two inputs or outputs are actually complementary to each other, and other one is you can use the regenerative positive feedback. So positive feedback will make sure that whatever the glitches and other things are coming within the propagation delay, that will be removed. So that we can do, and that is also the role of a latch. We also learned that to back-to-back connected inverters are actually a latch circuit. If you want to see such kind of circuits, like all the, like if it is like this also, it's also an inverter. Output is going here as an input, and this one going as an output. So this is also an inverter back to back. Others are also inverter, like instead of this you can keep PMOS also as an inverter, no problem, right? So there are many ways to make that. Okay, so that is what our agreement, that we are going to use these two things at a time so that we can have rail to rail logic and VTH is actually VOL is as low as 0 volt. So this is what we want. So in that case, there is a technique whose name is DC VSL. D for differential, C for cascade, voltage switch logic. So from this big name, it's known as DCVSL. So differential cascade voltage switch logic. We also understand that the configuration when common source is connected to common gate, it's known as cascade, like this. So this is a cascade connection, not a cascade. Cascade goes like this. If I want to cascade it, goes like this, something like this. So output is connected to the input of the next stage, then it's cascade. So in this case, it's a cascade. Of course, there might be some load, right? So this is cascade and this is cascade. So in this case, when we are making the power down network, definitely you will have the transistor cascaded, or you can say that the stacked one transistor on top of another transistor. Here, the if you remember the configuration, which was the case of pseudo NMOS transistor logic, in that case, what was happening, this transistor was always on, this is always on, or it's always in saturation. So I need to make this transistor off sometimes, then things will working fine. So with that concept, when DC-VSL has been developed, what they are doing, they are saying that let's have the PDN, but this is complement to the other one, and inputs are also complementary. So inputs will be input bar, and here there will be definitely the PMOS logic to connect the logic to VDD. However, these inputs are driven by the output of another side. When you are doing this, you can understand that anything which has this PMOS kind of load and input is connected to output, it's a positive feedback. You can see that if you are increasing this, just to check whether it's positive or not, if you are increasing this, this will decrease, this will decreasing means this will increase, and with the loop you can see that it's always coming the same number, means if it is increasing, so it's increasing, and if it is decreasing, and if it is decreasing, same thing is coming, then it's a positive feedback. So it's a positive feedback, and definitely because of positive feedback, it's going to have the regeneration, and one of the output will go to VDD, then another will go to 0, or you can say that one is logic 1 and one is logic 0. So this is logic 1 and this is logic 0. Right. So in that case, this is a positive feedback. Other than that, the input pattern which we are feeding here, it's actually input and input bar. So this qualify this one as differential also. So both the inputs are actually complement to each other. Similarly, the outputs are also complementary to each other, because that's the characteristic of the latch circuit. So it's a fully differential, however we are not writing, but it's a fully differential. Inputs are also differential and outputs are also differential. Okay, now let's look at one circuit where I want to make XOR, but because of this differential structure, I am going to have XNOR also, right? So one is XOR and one is XNOR. XOR is the one which is exclusive OR. If it is 2 input, it's going to be equal to A bar B plus B bar A, right? And complement to that one is going to give you XNOR, right? So looking into just this one, you can see that with this node, what are the things connected? So this node is connected with this one and this one also, right? So this node has two combinations in parallel. Look at the yellow line, you will see that it's AB or A bar B bar. Am I making any mistake here? Here it's AB or A bar B bar complement. Other side is AB bar or A bar B bar, its complement, right? So these are the two numbers available at both the output, right? Am I making any mistake? Because it's not making XOR and XNOR, because this is A and B. Nandit, are you making any mistake? Because this is AB and this is A bar B bar, which is actually XNOR, but it has to be complemented, right? If A is 1, B is 1, or A bar is 0, B bar is 0, the output is equal to 0, right? So it has to be, okay, maybe the title might be wrong. So, right? So this side, I'm going to see A bar or B bar ending with A or B, right? And in this case, this side, I'm going to see A bar or B ending with A or B bar, right? So this is what available to us. Do not look at this maybe. Okay, so you can see I'm connecting the load as a latch. So it's a back-to-back connection of inverter. And you can see that when this particular node, one of the node is connected to, let's assume that VDD, and other node which is going towards 0. So at that time when it's 0, this is going to be off. You can see. So in the previous case, when it's a pseudo NMOS, this was always in saturation with the PDN. So in that case, it was not achieving 0 volt, but it's achieving some other voltage. So here that's not the case. So accordingly, you can design the required things, right? So this is about the DC VSL circuit. Now we can make AND and NAND also with the same technique. So we know that here there will be cross coupled NMOS PMOS connection, and at the downside I'm going to make the power down network, right? I need to make NAND and AND. NAND is the one which is, and other side AND is the one which is A and B, right? So if I want that, I'm going to make, let's assume that I want here A and B bar, then I need two NMOSes which are connected to the ground, and this is going to give me NAND operation. Whereas if I want this one, I need to keep two things in shunt with each other, where one is connected to A bar, one is connected to B bar. So A bar or B bar, and when taking the AND, it's going to be equal to A and B, right? So here we are going to see A and B. So this side I am having the AND gate, and this side we are having the NAND gate. Note that both the results are complementary to each other, and make sure that the outputs are non-overlapping one. when I'm saying non-overlapping one, what exactly it means. Look, maybe I want to have such kind of things like clock and clock bar. Now, till now, like you must have understood that, like if I'm saying you that, look, if I'm giving 0 as in input, there might be the possibility that output is 0. Why? Because it's all about the propagation delay. So if input is like this, output might be like this. So if you are seeing the output in the small window, which is before the propagation delay, you might have output which is wrong output, and thereafter it's 1. So you have to give enough time so that you can see the correct output. So in that case, if you are having clock and clock bar created by such kind of structure, what you are going to see? You are going to see as follows. Right? This is happening because of the reason that there is a propagation delay. Look, so the positive and negative edge are at different points. These things I don't want. We don't want such kind of overlap area. This is kind of known as the overlapping clocks, but I want the non-overlapping clocks, which looks like as follows. Let's assume that if clock is like this, clock bar has to be like this. So I prefer this one. I don't prefer the clock which is clock bar which is like this. Okay, so we don't prefer blue one. I prefer the black and red, which are non-overlapping one. The name of this clock is non-overlapping one, by the way. So I want to create that. If I want to create for that, again, the answer is latch, not just a open loop an inverter, but you can use NAND based or NOR based SR latch like this. So this is still like this is clock and this is clock bar, but the output of this one Q and Q bar gives guarantee that they are not going to be same ever, right? And the output is depending on the propagation delay of each of the gate, right? Note that both the delay are equal. If they are not equal, then like sometimes it's happening that this particular delay is not sufficient enough, then you are adding some chain of inverters with the technique known to you from the logical effort. You can do this one because you know what is the load capacitor over here, and you also know what is the input capacitance. Actually, that capacitance is driven by the output capacitance of this NAND gate. So through that you can find out the stage number, and accordingly you can have the Q and Q bar. So Q and Q bar will be non-overlapping with such kind of connection which already known to you, right? You can derive this if you want by looking at your fundamental digital electronics course, right? So you have to look at the SR latch. Note that both the input should not be 1 1. If both are 1 1, then a problem will be created, right? So to avoid that, you can see here one NAND gate has been NOT gate has been used, so that the inputs are always complementary to each other. But still, there is a possibility that when you are giving this clock like this and clock bar is like this, So still there is some overlap area, but actually that will be rectified by these gates. And these gates are connected in a positive feedback, as you already know that because of the regenerative action, Q and QR will be complementary to each other always. If they are not, then it's an invalid signal, but invalid signal only occur when both are 1 in the case of the NAND gate, right? Or sorry, if both are 0, then it will create a problem, right? Any one of the input is 0, the output is 1, right? So both are 0, then it's an invalid state. That we are ensuring for the fact that it's a NAND gate, it's a NOT gate kept over here. Anyway, so that is how we made this, and you can create AND gate and NAND gate together. So complementary outputs are available. Now let's look at the output, how it look like. If you look at A and B, the green color signal is A and B, both are moving from 0 volt to 2.5. 2.5 here in this case of Rabe's book, it's VDD, whereas the technology is 250 nanometer, by the way, 250 nanometer with 2.5 volt as VDD. Blue color is complementary to what we have given as input. So A and B are going from 0 to 1. So we need to make sure that A bar and B bar has to be complementary or non-overlapping. If they are overlapping one, then the output will be changed accordingly. So make sure that both are 180-degree phase shifted, right? Not more phase shift, otherwise that can create a like wrong output. And at the time you don't need to see the output. You need to see the output after the propagation delay of the entire DC VSL circuit, right? So now if it is, I'm interested in the first side, A bar, like the NAND output. Just observe this particular node. What is going to happen when A and B both are going to 1? Then this node going to be 0. So when both are 1, at this point they are 1. But much before that, which is like this is the point where it's going beyond switching threshold, which is 1.25 volt. When it's going above 1.25 volt, this gate will start understanding these two signals as partially logic 1. And when it's going in the noise margin high enough, what is going to happen? This particular node will pull down to 0, but it will take the delay. So that delay is depending on the fact that you are having RON1, RON2, RON1, and each of the node you will have some capacitor, some parasitic capacitor. So by looking at the 0 volt to the output, you can find out that the propagation delay of RON2 times C1 plus RON1 plus RON2 times C2 is going to give you the delay or the propagation delay. In this case, it will be high to low. So you can also call this one as TPHL multiplied by 0.69 is going to give you the number. So this whole propagation delay going from here to here, it's depending on how much resistance offered by each of the transistors, right? So here when it's coming near to again 1.25, note that when it's reaching 1.25 volt point and going down, this like less than 1.25, it's going to be treated as logic 0, and that's going to make this particular transistor turn on, right? If it is turned on, it will make sure that this VDD is going to be coming on this node. But still there is a fight between this node and that node. Until it's not reaching pure 0 volt, this is not going to move the one VDD of one digital logic 1 over here. So when it reaches 0, you can see at that time this is also increasing, means the another node, and with some small propagation delay from between logic 1 and 0, you will have the output. You can do it for the reverse. Note that when we are doing this, when A and B both are 1, at that time this particular transistor is off, this transistor is also off, and this transistor is also off. That's why they are not going to interfere these two nodes, right? It will be governed by the logic of A and B, which are connected to the M1 and M2, right? So this is how it goes. Now, as I told you already, the single-ended versus the differential. Single-ended means you have one input. So single-ended is the one when you have one input and one output. Let's assume that this is a black box inside which both the inverters are kept. So inputs and outputs are 1 1 each with respect to ground. In that case, when you are giving digital logic 1 to 0, like Vout 1 and Vout 2, they are having some finite delay, and because of that it's always overlapping one, as we have already understood. But if it is a differential one, when Vout 1 and Vout 2 are actually connected to each other, what I mean to say, when this is going towards 0, this transistor is getting on. When this node going towards 0, this transistor is getting on. So there is always the relation between these two nodes are actually kept in a positive feedback. Thus, the output is actually non-overlapping, and most of the time you can have this crossing point at the place where you can define both of them as undefined, both of them as 1 and 0 together, and 0 and 1 together. You can see. So that's how this particular technique qualifies this one for creating a non-overlapping output. And this is what we wanted. Note that if somebody will ask you to design a circuit where input is like this and we want the output like this, and if his requirement is non-overlapping, do not use just an inverter because it's a wrong answer, but we have to use the cross-coupled positive feedback latch circuit. Either you can use NAND or you can use NOR, right? Both are the universal gate, right? So this is what the answer is for non-overlapping clock. Now there is one more thing. Let's understand that other than two techniques which you have learned. One is pseudo NMOS, where the problem was not having the output from rail to rail. So the output was not rail to rail. But in this case, when it's a DC VSL circuit, you have complementary output. So two outputs are available. If AND is available, NAND is also available. If F is available, F bar is also available. So in that case, the AND, NAND, or the function F and function bar F, all are actually non-overlapping. So you don't need extra NOT gate, even if you don't want to have the overlapping or non-overlapping. So it reduces the transistors. In this case, pseudo NMOS requires n number of transistors for n number of inputs plus 1. This 1 is for the PMOS transistor kept on top. Whereas in this case, there are 2n plus 2 number of transistors used, but this is a differential circuit. So it does not only create function F, but it's also creating F and F bar. Both are non-overlapping one. So that's an advantage. But still I want to find out the technique where minimum number of transistors I want to use. Still these transistors are more. So let's look at some other technique which is known as the pass transistor. So till now you must have observed that whenever I used to give the input was only given to the gate and I was taking the output from drain or source, right? So the input was only given to gate. So I'm proposing that not only like input to gate, but give the input to gate, source, drain, wherever you want to give, right? So if you give the input to any of the terminal, you will have some advantage in terms of reduced number of transistors. Let's look at the technique, how it works. Let's assume that I want to make an AND gate. What I can do, I can connect an NMOS where source is connected to A and gate is connected to B and drain is connected to the output. You can see that if A equal to 1 and B equal to 1, right? So the output should be A and B. Means logic 1. I'm expecting here logic 1. When both are 1. When B is equal to 1 and A equal to 0, output is logic 0. So that is also possible, right? When B equal to 1, this is 0. But what if the condition change? B equal to 0, A equal to 1, B equal to 0, A equal to 0. When both are 0 or B equal to 0, whatever the value of A, will it go this side? No, right? Because of this B equal to 0, this is going to be off. So if it is off, and just before giving this particular pass transistor as A equal to 1, B equal to 1. So this capacitor has charged to logic 1. Look at this. If both are 1, I'm looking at the condition when both are 1, right? When both are 1, output is logic 1. So let's draw with respect to time. So this is F and it's logic 1. When A and B both are 1. When B becomes 0, I don't care about A. In that case, this particular logic gate, this particular transistor is going to be off. Then there is no connection. It's high impedance state, so there is no connection. So no input coming from this side and nothing is connected. So in that case, what you are going to see at the output? You are going to see actually logic 1 only, because who is going to take this charge capacitor to 0 volt? There is no path which can like take this charge capacitor to 0 volt. To do that, you need one resistance in parallel, right? The small resistance or some path in parallel of the capacitor so that the capacitor can discharge. Of course, this capacitor will discharge after some times, with the fact that if this transistor is not ideal and it's going to have some finite resistance when it's off. So then it's going to happen, but I am not considering that that particular situation. So in that situation, this capacitor is charged to 1 and it's going to be 1 forever. It doesn't matter what you are connecting. However, if this is B equal to 1 and A equal to 0, so B equal to 1 and A equal to 0, then this particular node comes down to 0, because now this transistor is not in on mode, but it's in not in off mode, but it's in on mode, where it's giving this 0 volt to here with the fact that there is some RC time constant. Depending on W by L, you will have the resistance offered by this particular MOS transistor. That resistance multiplied by this capacitor multiplied by 0.69, that's going to give you the delay after which this 0 volt will be available at the output. Now the problem remains there when B equal to 0 and A equal to don't care any of the value, when and if the node charged to 1 and F equal to 1. This is the problem. I cannot bring back to 0. So what we need to do is as follow. You can have one more branch in parallel. What it does, when B bar is equal to 0, means sorry, B equal to 0, then this will become 1. This is off. So let's take same situation when B equal to 0, A equal to don't care, F equal to logic 1. In that case, this is fixed to 1, no problem. Logic 1. Now when I'm going to this situation, A B equal to 0, A equal to don't care, and F equal to 1, what is going to happen? This transistor will make the connection, and this particular logic 1 will go to 0 because of this parallel connection, right? So this is how we are eliminating the high impedance state, and this whole circuit is known as the pass transistor based AND logic gate. You can see that pass transistor is the one where you are not only giving input at the gate, but you are giving the input at drain and source also, right? So that kind of logic is known as the pass transistor logic. So this one is pretty popular in that case, but still there is a problem. The problem is here. Now let's understand one more fact, that this is not an ideal transistor, it's a real transistor. So if it's a real transistor, we learn one thing: NMOS is the one which can transfer logic 0. So very good logic 0 transferring element or strong 0 element, whereas PMOS is the one which is strong 1. I'm not writing about it because there is no PMOS available in this circuit. However, you can make this circuit with the PMOS also, right? But in that case, it will be the reverse problem. It cannot give the strong 1. It can only transfer strong 1. It's not transferring the logic 0. So let's understand one, and then like we can answer another one. So here, if I'm giving logic 0, if A equal to 0, B equal to 1, this becomes off, and this particular transistor becomes on. So the output is equal to 0 volt. Let's talk in terms of voltages rather than the logic. Now, if I'm connecting this to VDD, you know that this node F will reach till VDD minus VTN, where VTN is threshold voltage of NMOS. So until you are at VDD minus VTN, means this node will charge to VDD minus VTN. Once this reaches VDD minus VTN, this transistor will become off. Means afterwards you can't charge any further things, because that's the characteristic of a device, right? So you have to stop here at VDD minus VTN. So in the case of logic 1, when you want to see the output, let's draw the output in terms of voltages. So if A is from 0 to VDD, let's assume that it's 2.5 volt as a VDD, as Rabe's book is following the same, and B equal to 1. So this is B and green part is A. So first case, when it's 0, no problem. The output remains 0, right? So black part is output, or you can say F. But when it's going, like A is moving to 2.5, the output will try to reach the output, but the difference of these two will be VTN, or you can say that it will be equal to VDD minus VTN. Generally, like VTN is in the range of, let's say, 300 or 400 millivolt, then this voltage can go up to 2.1 volt only. So you have to satisfy yourself with the different noise margin high level. Still this is logic 1, still this is qualified as logic 1, but the problem is you are not reaching the rail to rail, as we were concerned in the case of the first case, which is pseudo NMOS technique. So still there is a problem and we need to fix that. Okay, so unfortunately for this structure we can't do anything, right? And let's satisfy ourselves with this one only. Maybe we can make different structure as we have done it for pseudo NMOS technique that we have used DC VSL, where the output was rail to rail. We can use this one with the fact that the output is going till VDD minus VTN only, and in total this requires 4 transistors. Look at this, it requires 4 transistors, not only 2 transistors. We have to understand the fact that there are 2 more transistors coming from here, right? So total there are 4 transistors. So CPL, the pass transistor technique requires 4 transistors to implement 2 input NAND gate. Sorry, 2 input AND gate. Similarly, you can make NAND gates. Similarly, you can make other gates also. But one thing we are missing, that we also agree that all the NMOS and all the PMOS will have that body which are connected to, generally this has to connect it to VDD, this has to connect it to GND, and this has to connect it to VDD. So if this is connected to GND, if this is connected to GND, now it creates one problem which is known as the body effect. Body effect states that, if you remember the analog circuit design or the device physics course, where it is told that the body of NMOS and body of PMOS has to be connected to GND and VDD respectively. But at the same time, we also agree that source and body has to be tied together, or VSB has to be equal to 0. If VSB is not equal to 0, if VSB is not equal to 0, then the body effect will occur. And what body effect will do? Body effect will do as follows. Which is like this, where VTN 0, it's a threshold voltage, when VSB equal to 0, right? So this is given in your data sheet or the DRM, right, of a transistor, that what is the threshold, but this is with the fact that VSB is connected to 0. If VSB is not connected to 0, means this Vx is not 0. By the way, this equation, in general equation, it's VSB over here. So if it is 0, then you can see that this whole part will become 0, right? By the way, I'm talking about just first equation, which is equal to the threshold voltage, real threshold voltage, including the body effect. So don't worry about this one. This is something else. This is what is the output at output side. So in that case, if Vx equal to 0, means VSB equal to 0, then the whole thing goes to 0. But if it is not 0, you will have other parameters like body effect coefficient, which is defined in again in DRM. Phi f is Fermi potential, and Vx is VSB. So all these things has to be added, and you need to see the new threshold voltage, which is bigger than VTNO, which is bad for device because my device becomes slow now, because earlier it was working at some voltage called VTNO, but now it's going to work at different voltage VTH. So this will definitely affect my switching threshold, also other required characteristic of TPHL, TPLH, because the transistor is not going to become on at the particular time. So in that case, things will be jumbled up. So same thing is happening over here. You can see when nothing is given over here, we have to assume that this is connected to ground, right? If it is connected to ground, body and source are not tied together. Can you see it? VSB is not equal to 0. So in that case, definitely your threshold voltage will be varying. And as we also agree that the output in this case when this is B and this is B bar, this is A and this is 0. In this case, we learn that if this is VDD, if this is VDD, the output is VDD minus VTN. But in the case of body effect, when these are connected to ground, definitely you can see here there is no body effect because source and body are tied together, right? So in this case, VSB equal to 0, but on the top side transistor, body effect is there. So this VTN will change to VTH, which is higher than VTN. So the output which we were seeing over here, it will not look like this one, but it will look like this one. So still you are reducing your threshold voltage, and your logic 1 is actually now going to suffer from the problem of it has very small margin of high level. So noise margin high is getting reduced. So that needs to be taken into account for the next understanding of logic gate, right? So we are